Even before they were a VTuber company, Kawa Entertainment was already an established company doing merch drops. In fact, you probably recognize a lot of these talents like Merryweather or Punkalope. Standees, plushies, dockies, you get the idea. But it seems that they are in fact closing their VTuber branch. And to give you a brief summary as to exactly what happened, it looks like they're actually just releasing the talent and letting them keep their IP and all of that jazz. In fact, it doesn't seem like all that much is going to change on the VTuber side specifically. The talent seem largely unaffected. They're just no longer going to be getting the support of management. Now, despite the fact that there doesn't seem to be any actual drama or controversy or infighting regarding this closure of their VTuber branch, it is still very much worth highlighting that this is part of a trend of many small VTuber organizations closing down. It seems that at the small scale, oftentimes this sort of business model isn't as sustainable as most companies had originally hoped. However, normally when a company closes, there's usually either a very polite goodbye and not a lot of information given, or there's a huge controversy and a lot of accusations thrown back and forth, and neither of those situations really lend themselves to honest, genuine, uncontested truth about how the company actually works. However, because this company seems to be closing without drama and without actually owning the talents themselves, we are actually able to get a tremendous insight into the company that I find extremely valuable. And I genuinely did not expect to hear what I heard. So let's actually take a listen to one of their talents.
First of all, I will say, this was out of nowhere, kinda. But I will also say that it wasn't out of nowhere for me. I had actually been planning to leave Kawa already. I had things set up to be exiting Kawa by around the summertime. All talents knew about this. So people were aware I had plans to leave. And I will say that a lot of the reasons that I was going to leave for were basically monetary. Kawa is like a subscription service agency, or was. So I was paying about $100 a month, and unfortunately I am a very small streamer, so I was making about $300 a month, maybe sometimes $250 a month, and paying $100 a month to Kawa, and I wasn't really getting much out of it. Monty is fantastic. He's a great guy, but what I really needed was analytical help, and I needed help in other areas, and Monty helped me mostly organizationally, so it was stuff that I could do myself. But I will not say that it was we couldn't see this coming. We have had some issues for a while, so I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but we did a concert back in October, and it was probably the beginning of a lot of our really hardcore complaints. The concert that we tried to do VR did terribly, and a lot of it was staff not really asking us for more input in things. It was a lot of staff feeling like they could accomplish a lot more than they really could, and trying to do more, I think that's a running theme. Kawa had a lot of ambition, and it seemed like they had a lot of things that they really wanted to do, and they had a lot of good intentions, and they had a lot of good morals, but they couldn't follow through with a lot of it. And a lot of it was because of funding, but a lot of it was also just kind of distractions and sometimes depression and just, everything else under the sun. And it happened. I honestly don't, I'm not gonna be mad at them over it. I still stuck with them for almost 2 years. I was still here. Wanted to say if Kawa maybe failed the talents a bit, they did create a community. Yes, so Kawa was really good with creating a good community, a lasting community, I think. I think that they made great merch, and I think that they had a lot of good ambitions. I think they are good people, and I think that you should not put them down in any way whatsoever. I think that this is not a black and white situation of like good versus evil. This isn't like an agency that is dissolved because of like horrific abuse and stuff like that. This is an agency that dissolved because we didn't have enough money and we didn't have enough attention and we had too many ambitions.
Now, I do find it sort of bizarre that the way Kawa operated was like as a subscription service, like $100 a month to manage talents who are making $300 a month. That doesn't really seem to check out in my book. It doesn't really seem like that's sustainable for the talents, and in fact, according to the talent, it very specifically wasn't. I can't imagine many VTuber companies actually operate like this, just because $100 a month just isn't a lot of money, especially not when you only have a couple talents. I mean, like, Kawa only had 6 talents, so $600 a month. And even if we're including the profits from like merch, this group was always very small. And I can't imagine the profits made from merch were really covering everybody's salaries, which is something you're gonna need if you're running a VTuber company. Also, I did want to point out that Kozii referenced that she typically makes $250 to $300 a month. And this is a VTuber with 12K subscribers. So if you're thinking about breaking into the VTuber space and you're wondering about how profitable that is, just keep in mind that unless you make it decently big, it's not going to be a sustainable full-time job. The overwhelming majority of YouTubers with less than 100,000 subscribers still work a normal job. Or if they're relatively close to 100,000, they're probably trying to turn YouTube into their full-time job. And it seems to be more or less the same with Twitch. I can tell you from personal experience, being a content creator is not an easy way to make a ton of money. 1853 did not contribute anything to the bills this month, let me tell you. The other thing I wanted to talk about today is the absolute heart attack that this announcement gave me, because I saw Niji-sanji, due to unforeseen reasons, we would like to announce that Selen, I'm telling you, I just about died with that first line. But it is not as bad as I thought. It seems that she is unable to participate in Anime Impulse. And for those who don't remember, unfortunately, Selen is going through a bit of a medical situation right now and she is still recovering, and that is likely the reason why. Although I personally would prefer it if they included that little tidbit in their announcement, because without that little bit of information, it kind of just sounds like Niji-sanji is yet again preventing Selen from doing something that she wants to do, which is not the case in this specific instance. And continuing right along with the Niji-sanji announcement train, they had to clear up some miscommunications from earlier. Pomu's memberships will be stopped on the 20th of January, but her actual channel will remain public. It seems that people were interpreting their original announcement that her channel was going to be no longer accessible and all those VODs and videos were just going to be gone forever. So I'm happy to hear that's not the case. You still have plenty of time to go back and binge watch all of her previous content. And the last thing that I want to talk about today is an update on Cover's continuing legal battle against defamation and copyright infringement. And you'll remember, not only have they successfully sued people in the past for defaming their talents, both Cover and Any Color have been absolutely cracking down on this type of stuff, including Any Color issuing copyright strikes on both False and Kyo for including Niji-sanji livers in their thumbnails. That's not directly related to Hololive's update, but I just felt the need to throw that out there, that this legal stuff is serious and there are consequences. And I wanted to go over a couple of those with you. So the first bullet point is that they contacted Twitter about 14 accounts that were making malicious posts. They got 9 of their identities and 4 of them were effectively sued. Now, to be more specific, they technically settled out of court, but let's call a spade here. So not only did they have to pay legal fees and damages, they were also banned from making future social media posts about the talents, period. So they've gotten people removed from Twitter, they've gotten tweets removed from Twitter. They're not pulling their punches. They're 4 out of 14 are down, and that's 2023 alone. They go on to say that they have sent legal warnings to people who have been harassing their talents. They say that they are taking action against, quote, aggregator websites that are infringing on their copyrights and other rights, which is why I wanted to mention Niji Sanji issuing those copyright claims against people using their talents in their thumbnails, because that's really relevant here. Because an aggregator website, in case you aren't aware, that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, all that stuff. Any form of social media. So I have to imagine they use the term aggregator website because they're including multiple different types of needs in one post. So the fact that they have been in negotiations and taking legal actions against these administrators, and that they have reached settlement agreements, what I have to imagine is that Cover sent their lawyers at a bunch of different social medias, possibly Twitter, YouTube, 4chan, Reddit, etc., you know, any of these social media companies where people are harassing their talents and more than likely effectively sued them. Like, obviously it's not technically a lawsuit if you don't go to court and get a judgment, but let's call a spade a spade. If you're sending your lawyers after somebody and you get money and negotiations in return, I consider that effectively a lawsuit, even though that's not technically what that means. And I do want to point out that it says aggregator websites are now more quickly going to delete submissions and comments that defame Cover Corp and any affiliated talents. So, social media posts that speak badly about their company or their talents are gonna get taken down. And it seems that they've reached a way to do that much more quickly and aggressively than ever before. Number 4, they say legal action against criminal response. Based on the wording of this paragraph, it seems that if you send a negative tweet about Cover, they can share it with the cops. I don't know all of what is encompassed in harmful submissions to online forums. Like, are we just talking about doxing in 4chan, or are we including complaining on Twitter? You know what I mean? The vagueness of terms followed by the intensity of the action is what's making me nervous. So number 5, cooperation with business partners. As they've already made aware previously, Cover and Any Color are working together in a legal sense to get their demands met with a lot of these other companies. And I have to imagine it's that coalition of effort that caused these 5 unnamed companies to sort of bend the knee. And we know, based on previous entries in this list, that at least one of those companies is Twitter. And in case there was any doubt that their business partner in question was Any Color, the parent company of Niji Sanji, it says it right here: cooperation with stakeholders. We released a joint statement with Any Color aimed at eradicating defamatory acts against our affiliated talents. They go on to mention an anti-defamation study group with the cooperation of Google, which, as you're probably aware, is the parent company of YouTube. So, if I'm interpreting this correctly, Hololive and Niji Sanji are cooperating with YouTube to attack YouTubers who make defamatory content. I'm likely not going to be in the crosshairs, but for channels like Kyo and False, based on the language of this document, it seems that it's entirely possible that they could end up in the crosshairs of this legal apparatus again in the future, as has happened in the past. So I definitely have some mixed feelings about this one. On the one hand, I'm absolutely stoked that those 4 people who were harassing Hololive talents were wiped off the face of Twitter and forced to shut the fuck up. Love seeing that. I hate these negative, irritating, instigator Twitter accounts that seem to exist only to spread misery in the space. I'm very happy that these people are being dealt with in a legal sense. And I hope that this will serve as a sort of public hanging, as it were, to discourage other people from doing the same. But at the same time, with these metaphorical public hangings going on all around, I can't help but be nervous for my own channel and the channels of other news content creators, so we will definitely have to tread carefully and see how that plays out. But that is everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Leave a comment as to your thoughts in the comment section down below. Bye guys!